All right, we're live. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is Chats During Naps, the only live interview during nap time. The big question is, will our children let us complete the interview and stay asleep, right? So we're going to get it started. Today, I have the amazing Rebecca Benson with us. She is a realtor based out of California, Southern California, and she is the mom of 2 3-year-old twins.
Yes, boy-girl, 3-year-old twins. Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's get started because we don't know when they're going to wake up, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it could be any moment. We might get a visitor, so we'll just pop right in.
So how did you start? How did you know that real estate might be your passion?
Okay, so I'm going to try and make the answer very short and sweet, but so I come from a long line of like aunts and things like that were in real estate. Mm-hmm. And so like way back when I'm a little girl, they had like these old school, and I'm talking like super old school, like books that had like the whole like tax thing, how you had to do it. And then they had the huge envelopes, like the 3 binders, because I don't know if you know this, but way back in the day, there was nothing online, right? There was no computers. Right. So they literally, like some of the big offices, they would have to put all of the like listings into this 3-ring binder. And so I would like pretend with this all the time.
Wow.
And then I was just like interested in it. And around literally 14 years of age, I wanted to get a job, and I started calling before telemarketing was a big problem. Wow. And I would start calling people on the phone and asking them if they were interested in selling their home or purchasing a new home or even getting lower interest rates on their home. And I'm like 14, like I just, kind of went with it, and I helped processors process loan files. And so I've been working in it since I was literally like 14 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I just went with it. And I actually started off in finance first, and then I did a little bit of commercial, but where like my heart has settled and stayed was residential. I didn't even know how much I was going to love it until I started doing it. And so I've been really, really steady with residential real estate only since 2006. So it's been a long time, but I have well over 20 plus years. I don't want to give you my exact age.
Right.
That, right? I have well over 20 years of my own personal solid experience.
Wow. That's incredible. The work ethic you described at 14. I remember how I was at 14, and I was not cold calling potential clients. I can tell you that.
I don't know. I wanted my own job, and I wanted to be able to have my own money, and I liked it. So yeah.
No, that's incredible.
No one was making me do it. Let's put it that way. No one made me do it. Right. I wanted to do it. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And so you touched, I just want to go back. You mentioned that you had started real estate in 2006.
Residential, right.
Right before the bubble burst, right? So yes. Can you tell how were you able to persevere through that difficult time?
Okay, so what kind of got me into it is all of the loans, like you said, just like came to a screeching halt. Right. And I started doing a bit of commercial, but it was really, I'm more like, it's really just only about numbers. So, like 6 or 7%, then I'm not going to buy this. And you could have worked like literally a year or more on this commercial deal. And if the buyers didn't feel like it made enough, percentage sense for them, they just won't do it. Wow. And I was just like, that's not fun for me. And plus the relationships were just not like nearly as friendly as I would like. So I decided to start helping people that were in really difficult situations. And how we did that was okay, well, so I know the bank's offering you cash for keys, but why don't we do even better than that? And not only are we going to give you cash up front and make sure that you're okay, but you can make sure that you're giving it to a group, which is Community Rebuild Partners, which is actually an affiliate of Four Seasons Properties. And we still do this. And I could get into a lot more detail. But anyways, we actually bought homes directly from the owners so that they weren't having to take a haircut. We would give them extra money in some situations if they needed to move. And this would prevent the foreclosure on their home, which is a big deal. Because a lot of them were really uncomfortable in just handing it over to the banks because they kind of personally felt like maybe some of the banks didn't give them the right advice and kind of maybe put them in this situation in the first place. So they were much more satisfied or like happy to work with a group, Community Rebuild Partners, that was like helping as a collective. There was no other way for them to kind of get out of the situation, but they were happier to do it that way than, just giving it over to the bank. So that's how I started in residential, was helping people like on the ground. This was before I had babies, so I could work 14, 16-hour days, and I did. I would, and I'm going out and I'm meeting with families that are not in good situations, but I'm building really, really strong relationships. And, we're taking their homes and then like rehabbing them and reselling them to other families. And then I'm, making sure they try and get into a better financial situation and do it with them. So that's how I pretty much started. Yeah. And that's how I kind of sailed through, because you have to really, every time we have an up and a down, you got to kind of pinpoint who you're going to need to help. And that's what I really like to do, is help. Yeah.
And I think it's important to highlight again, when in times of difficulty and challenge, that the best thing we can do as business owners is to be helpful, is to serve instead of selling. Right.
That's right.
And like the reason why you were able to build those strong relationships, and I'm sure they're even, you still have those relationships today, is because you came from a position of let me help you.
Right.
That's so fast forward to now we're in a pandemic.
Yes. So
how are you able to adjust and still support the market even today?
Okay, so things are a little bit different. Things are opening up, as everyone knows, but they're still different, right? So like kind of completely different.
Right.
So I'll give you like two scenarios. Number one scenario, easy scenario. I need to sell my home. I don't know who to trust. Okay, because you're going to have a million agents saying yada, 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 but that doesn't mean that they are actually going to do what you need them to do. It's a very, very stressful situation for everybody across the board. So, choosing someone that you really feel is heartfelt and is going to really, really dive in and help you as best as possible is like first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like even if you need to, meet with them over a Zoom or, an iPhone on video and really get the feeling for them so you can look them in the eye, without the mask on and all of that. It's a huge deal. So I would say, choosing a good, trustworthy agent is number one. And then making sure that they know what they're doing. So I will say now more than ever, marketing is online. So if someone is not doing a full, if you don't feel comfortable with them coming to your home the first visit, that's fine. But you need to at least walk through your entire home with them and take their recommendations seriously. If you're going to hire them, they know what they're doing, right? Or we hope, right? If you hire me, I know what I'm doing. Take their recommendations, because this is an instant gratification world, and how your home is presented online is everything, because that is the choosing point to where the buyer says, I'm going to now show my proof of funds, which I'll get into that, or I'm going to prove to the seller's agent through my buyer's agent that I can actually purchase this home and I'm interested in it. And that is the whole enticement. All of that comes from your first impression, and not of you, but of your home.
Right.
So it has to be on point. So to get to your question is that I'm helping people that have now had expired listings, or people that have had agents that are just doing the basics. That is not working. It is not gonna work. So I am meeting with people that, like I said, have either had an expired listing or haven't chosen the agent yet, and they really want someone that is, knows about the updated COVID paperwork, knows about, you still have to wear masks, you have to wear, I recommend gloves. I will try my best to provide gloves for my clients. I recommend all of the other agents to try and provide gloves to their clients. Lysol's like trying to get in touch with 100% gold. So it's really, really hard. Rubbing alcohol, the same thing, but your agent really should at least have the gloves on to open up the doors. You should always stay 6 feet apart, always wearing masks, and you really need to be sure about the home. And that's why I say the presentation of the home online is huge, because that's what entices us to say, hey, this home looks like something I could work with or I'm interested in. Let's go take a look. For buyers, the only thing that is a little bit more complicated is that they need to make sure you're serious, because both the seller and the buyer now have to sign waivers that they could be in, I wouldn't say dangerous, but there is a situation that you could possibly contract COVID by looking at someone's house. So this is serious stuff. So you have to sign a waiver before you go and look at a house, and you have to wear a mask, no ifs, ands, or buts. I recommend gloves as well. So for buyers now, you need to, make sure that you're lending, you're pre-qualified up to that price point, and that you're serious about the home, because everyone's taking a risk, making sure you can get in. Some people are doing open houses. You're not supposed to. It's greatly frowned upon by a lot of people. The people that are doing that are putting everyone else in danger. So I'm not trying to be rude or mean, but I really follow guidelines, and they're there for a reason. They're in place for a reason. No one wants anyone getting hurt. And so, yeah.
Wow. I didn't even think that would be happening in California.
Oh, yeah.
Open houses during this time. And
some of them are, but you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. And like I said, most people greatly frown upon it. And if your realtor gets written up for doing it, they could get a serious slap on the hand. Yeah.
Right. So you touched a little bit on some of the changes that, folks that are looking to purchase houses and folks that are looking to sell houses are experiencing. Can you talk a little bit more about the purchasing process itself during this time? Has that changed?
Well, lending is a little bit tougher, and that's why I said that's like your number one step. Okay, I'm gonna go through like a step process for you. So if you're just completely ignorant, but you're like, hey, I need to buy a home. I don't want to be in a rental situation, especially during COVID. That just does not sound fun to me anymore. I don't want anyone trying to tell us we have to go and like what's going on with our jobs and all of that stuff. And plus, now we're having to set aside, this is going to be our homeschool room, and this is going to be our craft room, and this is going to be our office room, and all of these things. We didn't necessarily think of that before, but now we kind of really need to think of our home as like our office and our school and everything. So if you're thinking of purchasing, number one is your taxes. Okay. I know most people don't think about this, but it is. So number one is taxes. I have great tax people local here, Southern California, if you need anything. And actually, I believe they can actually do nationwide, but taxes is number one. Make sure you have at least 2 years done. If you don't, or if there's any questions, anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll make sure to get you a really great referral. Number two is lending. Same thing. Reach out to me. I'll make sure to get you a really good referral. Those two things need to be done. You can be simultaneously looking, telling your agent, or calling me, or what have you. But those two things need to be done, and you need to have a pretty exact idea of what your price point is, because it's no longer you can like just hop in the car, go look at open houses, and then kind of think, oh, I really like this now. Let's go ahead and jump on it.
Right.
No, you're way behind already. So now as a buyer, where it's seriously different for you is, not only do you have to abide by all of the, COVID, new ramifications of safetyness and cleanliness and distance, but you have to now make sure that you have your financials in order before most listing agents and actually the sellers are dictating. So when you take a listing agreement, this is for buyers to know, when you take a listing agreement to sell a house, now you're having to fill out what do you want, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, or whoever it is. What do you want your specific verification process to be before anyone could come in your house? Because you have to sign a waiver for each person. And so they are now dictating that they want people to be pre-qualified enough to buy their home, and obviously in healthy condition, and that they've already viewed it online. So those are two big deals. You can't just like have a thing pop in your brain now and say, hey, I want to go out shopping, and look at homes, and then, okay, I'm going to put in an offer tomorrow, and then not even have your lending. No, you have to start from scratch now.
Wow.
Yes.
That's actually really interesting. And I think, looking at the silver lining, it makes all of the real estate professionals, from lending, the realtors themselves, and whoever else is in that chain to purchase or sell that home. I think it streamlines the process.
It does.
Because, right? And so, you just weed out the folks that aren't really serious or prepared to purchase a home, which is
true.
Great. On the one hand, as a real estate professional, how do you see the industry changing as a result of COVID? Do you think?
Actually, I would love for us all to get to the point where COVID is not, again, I don't want to say a threat, but where we're not having to worry about it so much, so we can still like be personable and, not have to wear the mask and the gloves and stuff. I mean, that's kind of uncomfortable for everybody, for building relationships and everything. But in terms of, like you said, streamlining the process and making sure that people are really serious, in all honesty, it's better for everybody. And let me tell you why. Because if you're a serious buyer, and say kind of a iffy buyer, puts in an offer, but you were ready, you were prepared, then that's like taking up time from the lender and the seller and the agent, a huge group of people to like maybe review this offer where they're kind of like not that, yeah. And that's not good for you, because maybe you could have had an answer in like 24 hours and you're like pacing the halls and we're going to get our house, while they're wasting time with someone that, hasn't put in the effort that you did, or, isn't as serious and gung-ho as you are. And that's not fair. It's just not. And legally, we have to review all offers. And, they're not going to tell us up front, but now they do. Like, you have to. Now. I mean, there's really no way around it. And I think that will remain, because I don't think that realtors, lenders, anyone else is going to want it any other way. It actually, we always encourage that. But, I would say now more than like 50% prior to COVID would actually do what we advise. So they're playing catch up, right? So they would go ahead, hop in the car, have a whim, see a house. Oh my God, I didn't know I was going to love it. I love it.
Right.
You know, they were like all playing catch up, trying to get them in, but then they could be like upset that they didn't get it or something. And so that's just out the window. And I think that it's good that it changes. And if you're on this call, it's good that you're hearing. And if you are serious about buying or selling, you know, I can get into how the whole selling thing, that's a little bit different too. But for buying, yeah, just get those two things in line. As long as you got your finances and a solid pre-qualification, then you're good. And then just start, you know, pick out houses that you like online. Tell a trusted realtor. If you don't have one, you know where to find one. And and then you know, we can get to work.
Right. You know, you mentioned earlier, specifically for this period in real estate, that you are working with folks that have had listings that have expired.
Yes.
Or are just having some sort of issue with either the selling or purchase of their home. I just want to highlight that, you know, in any profession, in any business, it's important to find a niche or a market that really resonates with how you solve challenges. So who is your ideal client within that group, right?
My ideal client is someone that has either gotten to the point through, you know, going through possibly pre-listing it before, hearing things that didn't come to fruition, things like that. So I was either gotten to that point or, you know, knows themselves enough to know who they're going to work well with, and knowing that, you know, someone that has 20 plus years of experience knows what's going to be best. So I used this analogy actually with a potential client last week. So you don't go into your doctor or your dentist, you tell them your symptoms, but then say if you need like some dental work, you're not like trying to talk to the dentist the whole time and say, hey, well, shouldn't you be doing the filling this way? And shouldn't you put the cap on that way? Or are you sure about, I mean, you might, but ultimately, if you've gone to a really good, reputable dentist and you felt good with them, you know, personality wise and stuff, and you feel like they're honest and taking good care of you, then that's what they went to school for. That's what they do, right? So my ideal client knows that they have hired a professional for a reason, and they have chosen someone that they trust to listen to. So when I'm advising my clients about their home, you know, moving things around, taking down window drapes or fixtures, removing some furniture, you know, restructuring things, possibly staging, that I need to do 3D Matterport, that I need to do aerial footage and aerial video, that I need to also have stills. You know, when I'm advising all these things, I'm advising them for a reason, especially with expireds, because their home was not presented in the proper light in the first place. So my ideal client knows why they have hired me. They're very keen on either purchasing a home, and they know that they can trust what I'm saying, and that I'm going to go to bat for them, that I've got their back. I don't, you know, necessarily have anyone else's back. They're my client at that time. They're handled by me, and I'm going to make sure I take good care of them like their family, right? So that's my ideal client. Someone that trusts me, knows me enough to trust me, that I'm telling them what's going to ultimately end up in the situation that what they want to be in, whether that's, you know, a home on 1-2-3-5 Street, or that's selling their home that they've already tried to 3 or 4 times. Maybe some of the other agents did advise them and they didn't listen, but now's the time. because especially during COVID, if you're going to sell a home, it needs to be presented properly. If you're going to buy a home, you need to be represented properly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I like that. So is it safe to assume, just to summarize, that you are looking for folks that know their mind and are decision makers, right?
Right.
The people that are laser focused on their goal. Like, I want this type of house. Yes. And I'm willing to do X, Y, Z legally, of course, to get, to get. And I think that's important because there are some realtors that may not to necessarily be their market. You know, I've run across some realtors that really enjoy working with the first time home buyer who is very much may not be as decisive as a as a type of people that you like to work with. So that's good to know. Decisive people.
Decisive. In the sense of, you can be a first-time home buyer, no problem. I know people, very, very young, even very early 20s, and they're like, no, this is what I want. I've got this great job, and I know that I want to own a home now, and they know. I think that is the major difference, right? Because, and again, per COVID, we can't really be just showing you 10 or 20 homes. You know what I mean? We can show you 5 out of, 35 that you really like. And then if those 5, maybe we'll show you another 5. But I think that it doesn't matter whether you're a first-time home buyer, first-time home seller. So I don't want to get that confused. That doesn't matter necessarily. What matters is that if you have a strong desire, right? And if you really know you want to be in a home, or you really know that you want to sell this home to buy this next home, or what have you, whatever your next step is, that is what I mean. Because when you hire someone that knows what I know, then you're basically saying, I'm hiring you because you know what you're doing, and this is going to move forward. Right. So I'm not one of those agents that, I don't like to ever compare myself, but I will say, when you hire me, the job gets done. So I need you to be sure that that's what you want before you hire me. Right. Right. So like, if you were going to go into a doctor and you're like, no, I definitely need to, or a dentist, right? I definitely need to get this tooth fixed. Right. Definitely. Right. You want to go into the dentist that fixes that tooth, does a very good, thorough job, and is like nice to you the whole time. Right. Okay. Not like someone that's like, oh, why don't you just sit there, or something like that. Right. You want someone like nice, right? Then, and gets the job done. So that's who I am. And that's the kind of client that I, look for, is serious. Right. Yeah.
Now, and we're coming up at the end of our time here. So I wanted to ask really quickly, you are a mom of twins, which to me is like almost like the holy grail of like being the, top 1% of organizers and getting stuff done because you have to with 2 small human beings. How do you balance, your business now, not working those 14, 16, 18-hour days like you used to? How do you balance business now and family time? Okay. So I'm going to give you the honest truth. Okay. And I've told you this before, and actually you've said this back to me. We give ourselves grace. Yes. Because if we don't, we're in trouble. Give ourselves lots of grace. Right. And us as mothers, we learn, and it's just amazing all of a sudden what we can do, like all at the same time. Now, I'm not saying that is necessarily the best way, but sometimes if you need to get something done, like absolutely, like I've had a counter offer that I've absolutely had to get done. It did not matter if my children were both screaming. Okay. So I've got a baby on a hip, and I'm writing a counter offer, and I could even possibly be on the phone. And I'm not saying that is perfect or anything like that, but sometimes we really, really multitask, and we have to just, go to the call of duty.
I would say I'm not going to tell you that it's like easy. There are late nights, okay, because you put the babies to bed and then you actually get to, get some work done. Some nights I am too exhausted and I'm like, wow, I don't really want to push this off to the next day, but I absolutely have to because I'm not thinking straight anyways.
Right.
Now urgent work, I never ever do that. I have this energy and I just make sure that it's fulfilled. But maybe it's usually something for myself. Okay.
Right.
That's the truth. We'll put it off for ourselves. No, I mean, anything other than brushing our teeth, I make sure that gets done. You know what I'm saying? Okay. If there's something else I needed to do for myself, no, I'm going to bed anyways. I'll push that off for tomorrow.
Right.
Organization. I don't know how. I honestly, I don't have time to do the things that some mothers, I'll walk into their house and I'm like, oh my God, you were so organized. I don't have that time, honestly, like to write it all out on a board, maybe when the babies get a little bit older, but thank God for our iPhones. So I'll put 2 alerts in my phone on something serious. And usually, honestly, my brain will just do the rest. If it's something serious, it's just in there. Now, I know not everybody's like that, but mine is just, my brain has always worked like that. So it's very hard for me to miss something that's like super important because it's just kind of sealed in there.
Right.
And for business, I never really had the desire to stop. I did take a decent amount of time because it's twins. So I didn't work until they were like 9 months old. But, and then I have my parents, thank God, that help with them. But, because you still have to go out to a house and you still have to, do things. So if I didn't have my parents, I don't know what I would do. But you have to have a trusted someone, a grandparent, an aunt, a cousin, because it's COVID, so you can't really hire someone, right? So a husband, someone, right? So that you can, have some time, or you're going to have some late nights. But I think that closing in on that as a mother, as a woman, it feels empowering, even if you are tired, to know that even if you took that extra 20, 30 minutes and got, something achieved, something done, I feel like I've even got chills talking about it, because it's like our kids will know, someday our kids will get that. And I want my daughter to have that, and I want my son to have that. And even if it's just a small amount of time that we're like putting extra in for ourselves and for our family and our clients, then it's worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Rebecca, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes,
this has been great chats or naps, and our kids stayed asleep for 33 minutes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a miracle.
Thank you again. And
yes, thank you.
And I'll be posting this elsewhere as well. So thank you all for listening. Tune in next week for our next episode of Chats During Naps. See you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.